Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled people story. I sought solace in a serene rural area, desiring a peaceful environment to raise my family away from the cramped city life. Our new abode, a cozy house nestled in the midst of ample land, offered us the opportunity to cultivate a garden and maintain a chicken coop. With a touch of amateur architecture, under professional guidance, I had designed my dream home. However, a significant obstacle marred the idyllic picture: the presence of our neighbors. Having dealt with bothersome neighbors in the past, I possessed a certain level of tolerance and adaptability. Yet these particular neighbors exceeded all bounds of decency and seemed to revel in creating problems. Initially, their property stood out as a disgrace, cluttered with trash. Although it was technically their land, I chose to mind my own business, reluctant to engage in unnecessary conflict. Despite their unsavory reputation, mere garbage wasn't sufficient reason for me to confront them. Soon enough, the situation worsened as the neighbors' visitors began setting up makeshift camps on the border between our properties. RVs and tents dotted my land, transforming it into an impromptu trailer park. The influx of people brought with it a cacophony of noise and a trail of mess. They lit fires, disrupting the peace at all hours, and their blinding headlights intruded into my home, shattering my sleep. The invasion of my property and the ensuing chaos crossed the line, leaving me with no choice but to take action. Yet, a nagging feeling of discomfort held me back from confronting them directly. Little did I know that my intuition was about to be vindicated. Placing a call to the police, I discovered that my neighbors had a history of run-ins with the law, having spent time in jail for various offenses. Regarding the property dispute, the authorities claimed their inability to intervene directly, advising me to involve the state. Consequently, I reached out to the state authorities, who suggested labeling it as a case of squatting. However, they warned that their current workload would delay any action for months. The prospect of waiting in limbo while potential damages escalated was unacceptable to me. It was during this period that I caught one of the trespassers attempting to steal one of my cherished chickens from the gated area. Reacting swiftly, I brandished my unloaded shotgun, causing the intruder to retreat hastily to his RV. The mere sight of the weapon proved sufficient to keep them at bay temporarily. Endlessly caught in a bureaucratic loop, I dialed different numbers, seeking assistance in dealing with the illegal trailer park, the excessive number of people, or the unhygienic conditions. Unfortunately, I resided in a convoluted jurisdiction where, technically, everything they were doing was allowed, except for the fact that they were encroaching upon my property. The trash was justified as part of their business, shielding them from accountability. Each call led me in circles, exacerbating my helplessness. That's when my bedroom window, overlooking the neighbor's backyard through a sea of RVs and tents, revealed a disturbing sight. The neighbor would emerge from his shed, distributing mysterious items to the assembled people. These objects were then carried over to the fire pit, where they were set ablaze. The truth struck me like a bolt of lightning. They were engaged in drug-related activities. It was a breakthrough I needed, but solid evidence was essential to compel the police to act. Having been an avid stargazer, I possessed a state-of-the-art telescope that had remained neglected in the garage due to the intrusive RV lights. Determined to gather irrefutable proof, I carried the telescope up to the top floor, aligning its lens to capture close-up details. Through meticulous observation, I documented their drug-related actions, aided by the telescope's capability to capture photographs. The evidence was undeniable: a thriving drug operation operating from the RVs themselves. Without delay, I forwarded the incriminating images to the police, confident that they could no longer turn a blind eye. 2 days elapsed, and the atmosphere around my neighbor's house transformed into a chaotic frenzy. A legion of police descended upon the scene, effectively sealing off any escape routes for the panicking perpetrators. Amidst the confusion, over 20 individuals, including my neighbor, found themselves in handcuffs. It was revealed that the neighbor held the notorious status of a major drug dealer, amplifying the severity of the charges against him. While the fate of the other culprits remained unknown to me, my neighbor's trial proved to be a captivating saga. In a desperate bid for freedom, my neighbor employed a feeble defense during the court proceedings, arguing that his arrest for cooking meth on his property was unwarranted. Little did he realize that his claim rested upon a foundation of falsehoods, as the property he operated on belonged to me. Nevertheless, I was the sole individual concerned with this detail. Predictably, his flimsy excuse crumbled under scrutiny, leading to a guilty verdict and a subsequent jail sentence. With the neighbor incapacitated, the state took charge of his property, rendering it their responsibility to restore and maintain its integrity. A crew arrived, swiftly cleaning up the remnants of the meth lab, erasing all traces of its illicit activities. The yard regained its appearance of normalcy, and I finally discovered true contentment in my property and surroundings. Restful nights were restored, free from the fear of a group of drug-addled individuals encroaching upon my haven. Although I suspected their intentions extended to my cherished chickens, their departure brought an end to this chapter. The next one is a pro-revenge story. In August, my cousin and her baby daddy begged my parents to move into our old house. My parents had already written off the house, giving it back to the bank because they couldn't afford to pay the mortgage on that one, and the one we're currently living in. As a result, we are several months behind on the mortgage and utilities. However, they figured if my cousin could at least pay the utilities and half the rent, which would be about $400 a month for them, then we could make it work. Her baby daddy had a job lined up, so it seemed all good. 3 weeks in, and after many phone calls, they haven't even switched the utilities into their name. We haven't seen a dime, and the baby daddy quit his job after one day and refused to find another one. They've also received 3 paychecks from previous jobs, totaling about $800, and refused to pay my folks. My parents tell them it's not working, and they have 2 weeks to get out. After a week, the power company informs us that the utilities are going to be shut off. We tell them to go ahead and shut them off since we can't pay, and my cousin and her baby daddy won't pay either. So the power company shuts them off, and my cousin calls them, screaming obscenities at them while still refusing to pay or put them in her name. A week later, they finally move out. My parents go to check on the place and call me 20 minutes later. They discover that the place has been absolutely trashed, dog poop and dirty diapers everywhere. They also smashed both of the bathroom mirrors, ripped a sink off the wall, threw eggs all over the floor, and broke a 100-year-old banister. Obviously, the cops were called. I drive 20 minutes right after being woken from a deep sleep. I work 2 jobs, so sleep is a precious commodity. I arrive there and survey the damage myself. I meet up with the police officer, who incidentally is a classmate of mine, which was a pleasant surprise. It might motivate him a little more since I've helped him several times in the past, and we get along really well. We do some cleanup with the help of our old neighbors and call it a day. Later, I check Facebook and find a nasty multi-paragraph note directed towards my immediate family. It includes snippets about how she wishes we would die a slow, painful death, how we have filthy housekeeping habits, how we're socially unacceptable, how karma will get us, how the whole family hates us, and even calls me a dyke. She can't spell very well. She also says our dead grandma would be so ashamed. Usually I stay out of Facebook drama, but she attacked me, my parents, and my disabled sister. So I respond with an even longer diatribe, presenting the facts and highlighting all her shortcomings. Essentially, I tell her to grow the duck up. Naturally, she blocks me, but I screenshot everything and post it on my Facebook, where most of our extended family sees it, along with the pictures I posted of the damage. Several of my friends, family members, and even her aunt from her father's side private message me to defend us. They also post on her wall and message her, calling her out on her bullcrap, which I did not ask them to do. My phone doesn't stop buzzing for 2 days with non-stop support. The social media reputation she spent years building crumbles in hours. She loses many friends and has to set everything to private because people won't stop harassing her. Obviously, the social media revenge is small potatoes compared to the felony charges she and her baby daddy are facing. This means they'll lose their kids and their pets, which will also be a blessing since they mistreat the kids and beat their dog. But it made me feel better. I even got to reconnect with some old friends I haven't talked to in a while, including one who is a mutual friend of my cousin and me. Now, we have a cross-country trip planned because of that. The next one is a petty revenge story. This just happened. In fact, I am still a little pumped with adrenaline. Off such a little act, what a rush. So I live on a street connected to an elementary school. Other residents, including myself, have issues on weekdays around 3:30 p.m. when parents park all along our street to pick up their kids from the school at the end of it. There is no problem with that, as I expect it. We have a guy named Terry on our street. Terry left all the neighbors a business card saying that if any people block their driveway, they should call him immediately, and he would tow them right away. He is basically on standby from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in our neighborhood. I never had a chance to use this card yet. The only issue for me is that I finish work at 2 p.m., go get groceries, and usually end up home around 3:30 p.m. A few times now, I have come home to park in my driveway and found a vehicle completely blocking me. Instead of parking on the curb, they would park at the end of my driveway, making it impossible for me to park. So I have to ask the owners to move. Today specifically, there was an old Dodge minivan blocking my driveway. When I got out of my car to knock on the tinted window, I realized no one was inside. I thought maybe they were napping in the back while they waited. Well, nope. No one was in the vehicle. I couldn't get into my driveway. This is specifically annoying because the curb behind and in front of him were both vacant. Maybe they weren't vacant when he parked there. So I got the card out of my glove compartment and called Terry. I gave him my house number, and in less than 5 minutes, he had that bad boy towed out of there. So what happened next? I decided to start cleaning my car on my driveway until the owner came by. My first plan was to tell the owner that they had blocked the driveway and I had it towed. But as I was outside cleaning my car, it's 22 degrees outside in November, don't ask how Canadian weather works. I saw him coming back with his son. He looked incredibly confused as I was cleaning my car. I noticed him and didn't say anything as he was on his phone, so he actually came to me really upset. He said, "Hey pal, have you seen my van? Are you that much of a ducking a-hole to call a tow truck when I was gone for 3 minutes?" So my plan changed. I said, "Wait, what van?" And I decided to play dumb. Well, about an hour later, he rang my doorbell and asked for details. I told him to duck off and came here to write this. Terry is back in his driveway with his tow truck though, and I plan on giving him a 6-pack of beer for helping me. The next one is an entitled people story. My friends and I go out every week to have lunch or evening snacks at new fast food chains or restaurants. We come in our own vehicles, split bills, pay for what you eat, and sometimes go for a movie or shopping, etc. We have been doing this for the past 1.5 years. We are 6 friends. Mostly when I go out to eat, I show my sister the menu and bring her what she wants as takeout. This time, my friends invited their friend to join us at MacD since one of our friends was sick and couldn't come with us. We basically just order a burger, a side, and a drink, and then swap it with someone. It's fun. I swapped with the new guy. So we were having fun. The new guy was interesting. He played esports and did all those normal things friends do. Now, since we didn't have any other plans like a movie or something, I went to the counter and ordered a combo for takeout and paid. If we go to a movie or something, I don't get her something often then. We were chatting since one friend was left to finish. I noticed that the new guy was not really responding to me, but I let it go, and we continued chatting. Now everyone was about to leave, so I went and took the takeout order and put it in my bag. When we went out, he looked at me with a disgusted look and in a loud tone said, "You didn't have to embarrass me. If what I took wasn't enough, you could have waited for everyone to leave and then ordered more for yourself." We were all taken aback as we didn't know why he was acting like that. He raised his tone and said that there wasn't even a need to order more food when everyone was still there. I realized what he was talking about and tried to tell him that the order was for my sister, since I always get her food whenever I'm out, and since we were all sitting there, I thought to order before leaving so I wouldn't have to stay long after. He said to stop lying, and this is where I lost myself. He snatched my bag, took out the combo, and threw it at me. The whole packet, not just the food. Everyone was shocked. I was furious, so I took my bag and food and went home. The next day, my friend called me and told me that he was embarrassed, not because he did all that, but because I ordered more food and was rude to him. I asked him if he had any problem with me ordering for my sister, and he said no. So I said, "Okay, I will still order for her and not stop taking food for her just because you decided to bring a random person with us." He said that I didn't need to order next time when I'm with him. I was furious and said, "Maybe I shouldn't even be with you guys because I am an embarrassment to your new friend," and hung up the phone. I asked my other friends, and they said that they both were in the wrong, so we all decided that neither this friend nor the new guy would be going with us from now on. But still, was I wrong to order food for someone with my money when everyone was there? The next one is an entitled parents story. I'm at a city park with my kids. We've been to this park a bunch. There is this one spot where there is a rocky hill, all tree-covered. Nice and shady on a hot day. There is a playground and a pavilion at the top of the hill. We get up there, and I immediately notice loud noises, and I'm having to step over cables and extension cords. Someone rented the pavilion and set up not 1 but 3 bounce houses around it. Freaking great. So I have to give the disappointing news to my kids that even though they are surrounded by bounce houses, They cannot play in them since this is a private party, but they are free to go hit the playground. Everyone is cool. I sit on a bench as my kids go to town on the fake pirate ship when I hear, "Hey!" That's when ED, doing his best to imitate the situation from Jersey Shore, walks up to me and informs me that the playground is closed for a private party. I look at him and inform him that the public park does not close for private parties, and it sounds like he rented the pavilion nearby, which is fine, but doesn't give him exclusive use of the neighboring playground. He storms off and returns with a rental agreement and shoves it in my face, telling me to get my freaking kids and leave. Right, so the rental agreement is very clearly for the pavilion, all for the grand sum of $35 for 4 hours. How could any sensible adult think that $35 granted you exclusive use of a public playground? Moreover, why is it so important for you to have exclusive use of a public playground? I again point out to him that he rented the pavilion, not the park, and my kids won't go on his bounce houses and we won't go into his pavilion. But the playground is fair game for everyone. He begins hurling threats, and I'm weighing just taking my kids and leaving to avoid this jerk. Then I decide I need to take a stand on principle, so I tell him to freak off and proceed to use my phone to find the phone number for the park office. Our county staffs our parks. During the summer months, they employ park rangers who have peace officer authority. I call the park ranger and tell him that there is trouble up at this shady playground, and they need to come right away. Sure enough, as I'm getting off of the phone, Dolph returns with 2 of his meathead friends to tell me that they are ejecting me from the park. No, you're not, and if you touch me, I'm calling the cops and pressing charges. No anger, no rage. With this promise of action, however, one of them kind of widens his eyes and steps back, saying to his friend, "Just leave them alone, man." This guy, for some reason, does not want the police coming, and it is very obvious. The ringleader won't back down, however, and tries his best to get in my face, scream, and yell. He grabs my arm, I remove his hand. All of this just as I see the ranger pull up, yell for everyone to step back from one another and come over. This smug jerk shoves the rental contract into the chest of the ranger, telling him that I'm trespassing, and he rented this space for the day for his kid's party. Now, normally I don't like posturing by law enforcement, but here it was pretty amusing. "Ranger, touch me again and I'm arresting you," reads contract. "This is for renting the pavilion. You have use of the pavilion, but the playground is open for public use." Hands it back. "Also, your permit doesn't allow you to set up bounce houses. Where did you plug these in?" The ranger follows the extension cords and sees that they ran them to the nearby public bathrooms. There was an outdoor outlet. It was locked. This dude cut the lock off so he could plug in his equipment. The ranger comes back with the broken lock. "Did you cut this lock?" It was like that when I found it." "Really?" "Because it was intact this morning. So some random person cut this lock and you just happened upon it within the last 2 hours?" I guess. Long story short, he let them stay and let them keep the bounce houses because he didn't want to ruin a kid's party. He wrote the guy a citation for the broken lock and the unauthorized power use and banned him from the park for the remainder of the season, after the party. Amazingly, this entire event was lost on my children who barely noticed anything was going on, likely because of the compressor noise. The next one is an entitled parent story. Backstory. I'm a single dad. I have a beautiful girl who's turning 5 in August. The past year, I've been fighting with my ex who tried to keep my kid away from me. Lawyers aren't cheap, and being single doesn't exactly help with my finances. A couple of months ago, I won the lawsuit, and I finally got to have my kid at my home again. For the past few weeks, she has been saying she wants a bicycle, but still recovering from the lawsuit bills, I wasn't able to afford it. Last week, I got my summer bonus, which finally gave me the financial boost I needed. So yesterday, I was finally able to buy my little girl the bike she wanted so badly. I enjoyed my time with her, riding our bikes, but then it was time for dinner, which I still had to make. So we headed back home and parked the bikes in the backyard. We went inside and I started making dinner. After about 10 minutes, I spotted movement in the corner of my eye through the kitchen window, which is on the side of the house. I saw this kid, probably 6 or 7 years old, just casually strolling by with the brand new bike I had just gotten today. My heart dropped, and I ran to the front door, hoping I would catch him before he rode away. Luckily, I did. I yanked the bike out of his hands and freaked out, telling him that it was mine and he had no right to just walk into other people's backyards and take things. I was pissed. I forced him to get off my property and set the bike inside my front hallway, thinking it was over. Boy, was I wrong. After comforting my little girl, who had never seen me this mad, poor thing, I returned to the kitchen to continue making dinner. 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang. It was the kid and his mother. EM. You give my boy this bike back. He found it. It's his. Me. He found it in my backyard. I got it for my kid today. You should try teaching your damn kid some manners. He shouldn't trespass on other people's property to take their things. EM. Don't tell me how to raise my kid. Give me the bike back or I'm calling the police. Me. Laughs. Call the damn police. And I slam the door in her face. By this point, my 4-year-old is crying her eyes out, and I comfort her again as she thinks she's losing her brand new bike. Once her sobbing finally subsided, I tried to continue making dinner, yet again. With the preparations done, I was about to put everything on the stove when the doorbell rang. I flipped out, stormed to the door, and violently opened it, getting ready to explode in the woman's face. Guess what? She actually called the cops. I instantly calmed down when I saw it was the police and invited one of the 2 officers inside while the other stayed with the woman. I explained the situation and showed him the box the bike came in, along with the receipt that had my name on it. He shrugged and apologized for the inconvenience, assuring me I wouldn't be bothered again. I let him out and closed the door with a smug smile on my face. I checked the front window to see what was happening, and I saw her throwing a full tantrum. It ended with her in handcuffs and in the back seat of the patrol car. Bye, Felicia. I don't know what happened to her, and I don't care. I finally finished dinner, and my kid still has her bike. That's all that matters to me. Boy, what a day. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.